All right, so this is the second part of the Jetpack tutorial. If you didn't watch the first one, you're going to need to watch that first. But what I'm going to be doing here is talking about how to create the heads-up display, which is in the fuel thing on the top left, as you can see. Character can fly around, and if I fly around for too long, I start to lose my fuel. That seems like it is going a little too slow, so I'm just going to make a quick change to one of my variables here. And let me change this as well. Okay. So this is what you can see. It goes down really fast, comes back up a little slower. I can fly around. When it gets down to the bottom, I gotta wait for it to refuel a little bit. So what I did is I created a widget, is what this is called. And then I made some code in my first person example map, the actual blueprints of the level, in order to see this. So in order to create a widget, I just right click. It's called a user interface widget blueprint. And this is so you can see something on the screen. And I called mine Jetpack HUD. So I'm just creating one called test right now so you can see how this works. And you're going to put some text in there. That's going to say fuel. And then also going to put a slide progress bar. And you can just put this wherever you want it. You can set the style. I don't know how to change the color. I'd have to play with that. But right now it's going to fill from left to right, which is probably what we want. And I'm sure there's a place to throw the color in there, but I just don't know where that is. Maybe you just click on fill in. I don't know. It's fine. Right now I think it goes as blue. So on this progress bar, and you can make it as big or as small as you want it, you're going to create binding. And what basically is happening here is it's going to take a percentage. Right now it's 0, so nothing's going to happen. And we have to put something in here in between these two to actually say, okay, use these numbers. Well, what we're doing here is we're talking to another blueprint. So we have our heads-up display, and we have to talk to our first-person character. So when you want two blueprints to talk to each other, you have to cast to the first-person character. If you're using third-person character, you have to do that. And we want our player pawn. So as the object here, you have to have an object. Because there could be multiple instances of this blueprint on the level. It needs to know which one you're referring to, and this is player index 0, which means the first player who's going to play the game is going to have this one. And then from this, now that we have this blueprint available, we can pull out the variables from it, such as fuel. So we're going to get the fuel, and we're going to get the fuel max fuel. And these are two floats, which we're going to divide the fuel by the max fuel. We'll get a percentage out of 100, and that'll be our return value. So if you have 100 fuel and you have 100 to start, you'll have a fully blue bar. And if you start to use fuel, it'll be like 50%. 50 out of 100 is 0.5, so it'll return 0.5, which means this progress bar. How do we get back to our designer? This progress bar will be halfway full when we have 50% fuel. So now you're going to go into your level blueprints, open level blueprint, and you're going to create an event begin play if there's not already one there. If there is, you'll have to do what's called a sequence, and you'll have to just plug into whatever is currently already happening there. But to get event begin play, you just type in event begin, and it should pop up. And we're going to drag from that, create a widget. And from that widget, you're going to select whatever you named your Jetpack widget. and then you have to add this to your viewport. So make sure you actually select the correct one, return value, and that'll just make sure that the player gets to see what that widget looks like. So let's watch. So there it is. Something happens. Let's try that again. I hit control. My fuel starts to, oh, there it goes. It's disco time, so I had to go do that. Okay, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you're getting all that. And yeah, so and also just so you know, on the heads up display, you could also throw in images or whatever you put on this one is gonna now, because it's called in your level blueprints, it'll pop up on the screen. So if I were to like just drag something else up here, I can have it say whatever I want. And if you bind something, like anytime you decide to do a binding, you can always pull up another blueprint. So I'll cast again to first person character. And again, as long as you have the object as the player pawn, I believe, then I could cast anything and return the value here, and you could be able to see it as a string. So I could say, you know what, show me the jump. Oh, sorry, the gets. I had a variable called Z. What was that called? Jetpack Z force. So I just want to see it, and it'll turn that into a string. So it'll turn it to text, and so now we can see. It'll say 200,000. Or if I wanted to like call, let's say the Boolean button, Jetpack button is down. And now you can see it's going to say either false or true as you push that button. And you can make it whatever font you wanted. You can make it as big as you want. You just have to set the text size. Here's the color and opacity. Here's the font. So you can set that nice and big. Make it red. And there it is, false, true. So just be aware of that in case you ever have a need for it in the future.